Hey everybody, my name is Scott, and today we're going to solve the k-diff pairs in an array problem on LeetCode. The problem definition is we're given an array of integers and an integer k. We need to find the number of unique, that's very important, unique k-diff pairs in the array, where a k-diff pair is defined as an integer pair, I and j, where I and j are both numbers in the array, and their absolute difference, also important, is k. So look at this example here, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, k is 2. It outputs 2 because there are two k-diff pairs in the array. 3, 1, 1, 3, however you want to look at that pair. And then 3, 5, or 5, 3, however you'd like to look at that pair. So there's two 1s here, but it's unique pairs. So we don't count 1, 3 twice. Don't count 1, 3 twice. So that's really the whole problem. We're going to implement it using hash maps, which will allow us to get to a linear runtime solution. Let's start out with one simple thing. If k is less than 0, then we will return 0. This is a tricky little edge case, and why are we doing this? It's the absolute difference must equal to k. So the absolute difference of two numbers can never be negative. Absolute value function is a positive function. So if we're asked to find the number of pairs that have a negative absolute difference, we return 0. Mathematically impossible. So let's initialize pairs to be 0 and return it down here so we don't forget. We're going to keep a hash set of integers that we have seen. And we are also going to keep a hash set of integers that we've used. Now I'm just going to call it used, but we're going to do something a little clever with the used hash set to make sure we're not duplicating our pairs. We're going to loop the array. And what are we going to do? Well, if we've seen the number we need, and what number do we need? Well, we need to check for two numbers. It could either be the current value, nums of I minus k, or it could be the current value, nums of I plus k. So let's look for the first one. And not I will explain this if statement here in 1 second. So if we get in here, we have found another pair, and in used we're going to add nums of I plus nums of I minus k. Alright, so let's explain what we're doing here. We have an element nums of I, and we need to figure out if there is an element such that its absolute difference is k. Well, what would that number be? That number would be if we've seen nums of I minus k. So nums of I minus nums of I minus k will be k. So that's what we're looking for. And we're checking if used contains the sum of these two numbers. Now, the sum is unique in this case, and it's how we're making sure that we're not using duplicate pairs. Because if two numbers have an absolute difference of k, which is what this checks, then they must have the same, then they will have a unique sum among those numbers. So that's how we're making sure we're not duplicating anything. And then we're just going to check the same thing for the other number which we could use, which is nums of I plus k. So this will all just be the same thing. So we're checking the plus here. There should be a plus here. Make sure everything looks good. Again, we found a new pair, and just going to add their sum in. Going to put parentheses around this needlessly just to signify that that is an extra, the other element that we found. And then just add nums of I in the scene. Alright. And then we're going to return pairs at the end. Let's see how that looks. So we got the right answer. Let's submit our solution. See what comes up. Accepted. Okay. So hash sets, very important. This is a linear time run algorithm because we can look up element in the hash set in constant time. And the only real trick here was we have two elements that could make a pair. With the current element, nums of I, an element that could lead to an absolute difference of k would be nums of I minus k, and the other element that could lead to an absolute difference of k is nums of I plus k. So those are the two that we want to know if we've seen. If we have seen them, then we also want to make sure that our used does not contain the sum of those two elements. Because among the elements whose absolute value is k, the sum of those two elements is going to be unique. So that's how we're making sure we're not duplicating our pairs. So that is all for this video. Hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.